Oh, you want to prove you're allergic to the vaccine? Okay, now you're fully vaccinated. TLDR. My malicious compliance results in anti-vax woman getting fully vaccinated. The tears were delicious. So I am a doctor in NZ. Currently working in immunology. Our country recently, like today, introduced a policy where you need to show a vaccine pass to be able to access hospitality or retail stores. To get this vaccine pass, you either need to be fully vaccinated or have a legitimate medical exemption. As I just started working in immunology, I have a weekly allergy clinic. I had a woman referred into me, who we shall call Karen, who had reportedly had a reaction to the first vaccine dose. We take that very seriously. And there was a strong possibility that she could receive an exemption from the second dose or subsequent booster shots, depending on the nature of the reaction. However, it became clear within the first few minutes of the consult that this woman had not had a serious reaction to the vaccine. She was not telling me any of the symptoms she experienced, and just kept referring to the reaction. Even direct questioning was getting nowhere. However, after a frustrating 10 minutes, I was able to rule out a severe allergic reaction, or a possible cardiac event, the two major concerns for the Pfizer vaccine. During the course of the consult, it became obvious that Karen was more interested in grandstanding about the vaccine than in actually receiving medical care. She accidentally let slip that getting a vaccine exemption would benefit her politically. Whatever that meant, she also let slip that she was against vaccines in general, and was trying to prove a point. I offered her an alternative vaccine, the AstraZeneca, which she vehemently refused due to risk of blood clots. So, I explained what the standard procedure is to confirm a serious allergy. It's called a challenge. Basically, we give the patient the thing they might be allergic to. If they react, we have all of the necessary care with experts on severe allergy right there. This is in a major hospital. And if they don't have a reaction, we know you aren't allergic. I explained it by saying, we give you the shot and see what happens. If you have a reaction, I'll happily write you an exemption for the booster. She agreed to this, signed the consent form after I went through it in detail. I gave her the vaccine, and she promptly had a seizure. I put that in quotation marks, because it was the least convincing seizure I have ever seen. I've seen drug addicts trying to score benzos in the ed have more convincing seizures. I'm not even willing to call it a pseudo-seizure. It was that terrible. She literally lay down. Didn't fall. She actually lay down slowly on the ground, and started flopping like a fish while periodically looking at us to make sure we were watching. I've never seen anything like it. Her vital signs were all completely normal. Blood work was completely normal. Everything was fine. After she had recovered, Reed got tired and gave up. My boss, who had taken over at this point because of how bizarre it was, explained to her that she did not have a reaction to the vaccine, was kind enough to call it a pseudoseizure, which is essentially a seizure-like event caused by a psychological trigger rather than physical. That to the patient feels like a real seizure but is not typically dangerous. He informed her she would not be receiving an exemption. That resulted in much yelling and shouting, until I calmly informed her that she did not need an exemption as she was now fully vaccinated. She received the first dose prior to being sent to our clinic, and we gave her the full second dose during the challenge, so she was covered. The look on her face was absolute gold. She then proceeded to declare that she had not consented to being vaccinated. She had, in writing, and that she refused to accept that she was vaccinated. She was, and that we were lying to prevent her from claiming to be unvaccinated. We weren't. She then stormed out of the clinic when I gave her a "I'm fully vaccinated" sticker, which we normally give out after a second dose. I kinda got in a tiny bit of trouble for that bit. But it was so worth it. It was an entertaining afternoon. Edit. Wow. Thanks for the awards. And thanks for the platinum. Edit 2. Seeing as so many people keep commenting on it. Yes, she was fully consented for the procedure. I had explained to her on at least 3 occasions that she would be getting an actual dose of the vaccine. I wrote the name of the vaccine, both the generic name and the brand name, on the top of the consent form in front of her. Went through the full consent process, witnessed by a nurse, which she signed, and even showed her the label of the vial I drew the injection from. It's an entire process to give an allergen challenge, and I followed it to the letter. Maybe she thought it didn't count because it was a medical test. I don't know. All I know is she knew she was getting it. She knew why she was getting it, and was aware of what was in the syringe I was injecting her with, but didn't seem to understand that this meant she was now vaccinated. I wouldn't mess with an allergy challenge. It's a serious procedure that I take deadly seriously. I'm aware that I am administering a potentially deadly substance to someone. As much as I joke around on Reddit, I'm a doctor and I take my job very seriously. I worked in neurology. The state I live in, we have to report seizures to the DMV. That automatically suspends your driver license for 6 months. If that lady pulled that crap on any doctor in the state, she would have been really pissed. Not only would she fully vaccinated, she would not have been able to drive for 6 months. The mental image of someone getting up from the chair, slowly getting down on the ground and flopping around is hilarious. Must have been even better to see it in person. Chaotic good. The idea of someone being angry that they can't claim to be unvaccinated hurts my brain. Not angry that they are vaccinated and feel they're in danger. Not angry that they didn't get an exemption card, but angry that they can no longer truthfully tell people they aren't vaccinated. They really just want to be the victims of their own narrative, don't they? Does a pseudo-seizure on your medical record in NZ mean that you have to surrender your driving license temporarily until X months clear of seizure-type symptoms? Because if so, lady did a number on herself. Karen. See, I had a reaction. It gave me a seizure. Doctor. But now you're fully vaccinated. Karen. No, I'm not. That wasn't the vaccine. Doctor. Then why did you have a seizure? My daughter got a penicillin allergy challenge in hospital. It was terrifying and it took the doctors a lot to convince me to allow it. The fear of her having a reaction outweighed any positives on the table at that time. It turns out she wasn't allergic. It was just likely she had a random symptom. Full body rash. As she took penicillin for the first time. I just don't believe anybody would jump at an allergy challenge if they genuinely believe there was a reaction. I had a severe reaction to the first shot of Moderna in March of this year. My throat began to swell, my face, cheeks, forehead began to itch and swell. Went to doctor. Referred to allergist. Couldn't do any type of allergy test at the time since everything was so new. I had a follow-up appointment with the allergist who stated there was a test, but it wouldn't identify exactly what I was allergic to. Can take off polyethyl glycol because we tested that. Several months later, I finally got the green light to take a J&J vaccine. Felt like I had to go through an act of Congress with my local health department even having a letter from the allergist. Was this at Auckland City Hospital today? I saw a woman walking over the bridge to K Road screaming something about the vaccine. Would be funny if we had the same person lol. People like that never heard the saying, be a koha, not a hoa. I gave her a "I'm fully vaccinated" sticker, which we normally give out after a second dose. I kinda got in a tiny bit of trouble for that bit. But it was so worth it. I am dying. C. I'm a needlephobe. Childhood trauma. And occasionally have anxiety attacks that can cause what you term a pseudoseizure. And I still had both as jabs. So fuck this woman. I didn't know it's called a pseudoseizure, by the way, when I went for my first dose. I warned the guy administering it that I sometimes have anxiety-related seizures around needles and he was all, "Oh, you're epileptic." I then had to give a very tedious description to him, not a native English speaker, before he would get the hell on with giving me the injection. He probably didn't get that the buildup was setting bloody fireworks off in my brain and making it more likely that I'd throw a fit. Though I didn't. I just went a little lightheaded after it was done and had to sit and be watched for half an hour. Second dose was fantastic. Given by a middle-aged woman who was like, "Oh no. Not one of those," when I said I'm needle phobic. When she asked if I needed a moment to prepare myself, I said, "Nope, just do it before I can get worked up." She did. And I didn't even feel it. I could have hugged her. That said, I have a friend who has idiopathic anaphylaxia and is firmly in the exempt category. A fake they won't even talk to him about the vaccine. That's why, fuck this woman. There are people with real conditions who can't, shouldn't have it. And people like her cheapen it. Keeping an eye out for the AITA for faking a seizure at my doctor's office? Post. This whole thing was gold, but you became my hero the moment you handed over that sticker. I mean, if she didn't read the paperwork, that's on her. It's pretty clear what all was going down. I know used to be a paramedic in London, UK. I just wish I'd filmed some of the many seizures I've witnessed during my time. Comical beyond belief. The best ones are the people pretending to be unconscious. I used to talk to my colleague in the back of the ambulance while they lay there and play along that it was real and say, "Oh, it's a shame that of course the DVLA driving authority will have to suspend their driving license now due to this seizure." Suddenly they'd miraculously wake up and tell us they're fine and not to tell the DVLA. Hold up. She didn't want the second dose. Yet she got the first? What kind of mental gymnastics do you have to try to justify this in your head? I got the first vaccine dose, so as long as I don't get the second one I won't really be vaccinated. Heck yeah, anti-vax. Quote. Reminds me of the story I heard from a Greek doctor who was bribed to give some anti-vax people not the actual vaccine but something unharmful. They were willing to pay €500. He said okay, but they had to sign the proper paperwork for the shot. When they did, he gave them the actual vaccine. Later he revealed the story and said, if I had given them something else they would have been able to sue me. But as I gave them the actual shot, they are just some idiots who paid me to vaccinate them. Makes me laugh every time. She literally lay down. Didn't fall. She actually lay down slowly on the ground and started flopping like a fish. If I were an anti-vax, I would rather accept to be vaccinated than embarrassed myself doing that. I don't know how she able to face the world after doing Magikarp Splash. Wait. So she got vaccinated but didn't take the vaccination passport with her? She might be mad. But at least make the best out of a bad situation, lady.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.